I have been talking about this for months and the day is finally here. We are putting a flagstone pathway into our back garden. We're going to walk you through the process. We have our handy dandy installation team here to help us, but I'm going to kind of share with you everything right along the way. And then of course, costs involved in doing this. So if you guys are thinking about doing this for yourself, I'm hoping by the end of today's video, you will be able to design and install your flagstone pathway to perfection. Please be sure to like and subscribe if this is the kind of content that you guys like to see. And we will see you guys every single weekend as we post a video. Just like everybody else, we had grass in our backyard. It just didn't hold up well. Between the filtered light that we had to work with here, you know, the constant rains that we have here in Florida, it tended to be more mushy than anything else. We just knew that budgets weren't going to quite allow for a flagstone pathway right away. So what we did do was we did remove the sod. That was our first phase. Our next phase was bringing in some edging. So we used Viera edging on both sides, and that made sure to secure the rock in place. It locked our pathway in place for now. Filled this with Tahitian gray granite. You guys know how much I love my Tahitian gray granite, knowing that we're going to get to the point of doing flagstone. So the first thing that you're going to want to do when you're deciding on where to lay your flagstone and how you want that to come about is get extension cord or garden hose or whatever you have on hand and outline that pathway area. So that's exactly where we started. So I know I didn't want a straight pathway. Now you can absolutely do that and it would look fine. I needed some areas for it to bow out. It won't make sense just yet, but in the next phase, it will, because I'm going to create little pockets of groupings, bit of boulders with maybe some foxtail agaves, or maybe it's a bird bath, the reasons for that pathway to have that meandering feel. And if you do too much of this going on with a pathway and there's no reason why, then you tend to want to take that straight and narrow path. And when you're looking down your pathway, you see the pathway kind of meander through here, but that block in your vision does such a good eye to draw you further down. So that's why I love curves. I love what they do. And so I'm hoping that this turns out just like that. So in breaking down the costs of what you're going to kind of need for flagstone, you're going to want to make sure that you have obviously enough materials where you're not hopping from step to step to step. Now, I like a loose fitting flagstone. It doesn't need to be fully pieced together. I like it where it's set in gravel, so you get a lot of flagstone for the money, I guess, when you do it that way. Or I kind of want almost like a flagstone stepping stone pathway, and then we're going to take the rock and bunch it right back up to it, and that way it's actually set in that stone. So you kind of see I have a little example of it here. This is a very small path that leads to my pond here. It's just nice and easy to step on. I have a big piece here, a couple small pieces here for individual footing, where it's just a nice, easy, gradual path. If I create the curves like you see here, that end up being 68 feet that I'm working with, I am going to use one pallet of flagstone. You want to make sure when you're shopping for flagstone pallets or pieces that you have multiple sizes. You want some big sizes, you want some small sizes. A lot of times when you get a pallet, sometimes it'll have all big pieces or a bunch of little small pieces, and that can be really tricky to work with. You want some good footing, some things that you can work on. So having that combination is going to be ideal. That pallet is going to run around $600, so it can be a bit pricey. We're going to use the tan stone. It's called buff in color, so it has kind of some tans, a little bit of grays in there. The gray stone is a little bit more expensive. It's about $100 more per pallet, but I wanted some variation because I have so much of this gray stone, Tennessee field stone, throughout the rest of my garden. So I thought, let me bring in the little lesser expensive product, and I think it's going to blend really well. And then of course we already have the gray rock, giving me a little bit more contrast than just strictly gray on gray. And the next thing that you're going to need is you're going to need leveling material. Now, some people do it with sand, and you can absolutely level a piece of flagstone with sand or stepping stones with sand, but I really love the cement millings. You'll get it pretty much the same place that you get the flagstone from. It's a lot cheaper, and it hardens and packs down after a few rains. So I like to use that because I can really get a good base for my flagstone. Now, once you do that and you connect and do that fully through the whole pathway, then after, I don't know, 7 or 8 rains, you're going to notice cement starts to just harden all the way around the stone. It will not turn into grout. It will not be a solid surface, but it does a great job of packing an area, not making the flagstone itself movable, which is exactly what you want in a natural flagstone path. Half a yard, which is what we're going to use here, cost me $48. It's definitely worth the cost involved. When I start with a pathway opening, I tend to really like to make a nice, broad, wide opening, almost like just a grand entrance to a space. Wherever we end, I'll end it with that same wide opening, sometimes even wider, just to kind of give you a welcoming feel to this walkway space. Now, this particular spot right here is almost like a direct focal point from my coffee area, my seating section over there. So I definitely wanted a little bit of room to make this interesting. Maybe a little bird bath that is actually a bubbling bird bath of some sort. But I know that I needed space, so I didn't want to eliminate by creating a straight pathway leading into this space here. Very similar to how they do the botanical gardens. And that's kind of what I love to mimic in my own space. When you go to resorts, when you go to botanical gardens and you're walking through those pathways, there's almost something for you to visit every single step that you take. Like you're seeing this, and this is kind of popping out. Meander to the left a little bit, and then meander to the right a little bit. Wanting to get a good visual of all of those little intricate things that are right along the way. So what you guys were watching was my crew dry setting the flagstone. You know the direction, you know the angles that you're going to go in. Go ahead and start laying out some of the stones. Start piecing it together like your little puzzle pieces. Now, I like to do this more of a casual flagstone, so that everything is not intertwining. There are no cuts that are made. Do you want it a little bit busier pattern with some smaller pieces? Do you have some bigger chunks that that you're going to work with? Whatever that might be, kind of get that laid out. Take a good look, step back, make sure you like the pattern, and then after that, walk up and down it a few times. I want to be able to walk through this pathway in high heels if I have to. I want to be able to make sure that I have some sure footing all the way through. If I feel like I'm doing like a stutter step because one flagstone piece is too small, then you want to make sure to adjust that at that point. So that way you're not regretting that single step halfway through every single time you walk down the pathway. Set the flagstone into place, use a mallet or rubber hammer, make sure it's really wedged in there nice and tight before you start sealing those joints back with rock. You'll notice that these stones are different sizes, different thicknesses, and that's part of the natural beauty of flagstone is nothing's even and part of the frustration. So he'll level this out. So this one will get less sand, this one will get more sand. So you're doing a dry set on that. Kind of keep that in mind so you kind of know maybe a bigger size, but definitely thinner. So you want to make sure that you raise it on the kind of levels. And that's another reason why they're doing this in segments. By doing them as an individual grouping, you're really saving yourself a lot of time, and you're also able to keep that pattern nice and tight. I'm gonna list all of the materials here for you guys, so screenshot this bad boy and hopefully it'll help you with your shopping list of gathering. You're gonna need a rubber mallet, wheelbarrow, a tamper. You're gonna need all of that just to start this project. So the next thing you're gonna wanna do is decide on your type of edging that you're going to use. Whether you're gonna do the aluminum alloy edging, I love to use that with pathways. You're gonna use the Buda edging. You can use something really, really natural like I have the stonework here. So whatever that might be, decide on that, gather that material in place. Make sure you have a good linear measurement for that space so that way you can really kind of just start getting that in place. That's going to hold everything together. So it is the structure, it is the bones of getting this in. Then you're going to want to make sure that you have your weed barrier fabric down below, nicely laid on solid tamped down soil, depending on the stage that you're in. I picked my stone next because that was where my budget allowed before I did the flagstone. I have Tahitian gray granite. I have the 1.5 inches here. What's a little bit nicer to use is the 3/4 inch or the 1/2 inch. It's a little bit smaller stone, knits together really well, easy to walk on between the grooves of the flagstone, so it can allow you to pull the flagstone a little bit closer. However, in my situation, this area gets good rain. It's a drainage easement. So if we get our hurricanes, we get water in this little alley here. So if that is your situation, go with a bigger stone. It will stay put. But if it's the beauty and you have a nice clean area to work with, go with the small stone. That little stone joints really well together, makes for a perfect walkway space. And I love the crunch it gives when you're walking through an area. So next on the materials list is pick your flagstone pieces. Big pieces, little pieces, pick a nice mixture and make sure that you get a nice mix into your palette. Sometimes the palettes are already pre-palletized and they won't let you separate it. And sometimes they will. So ask that question, because if you can get a nice mix, that's really what you're going to need, so you don't have too much of one thing and it looks like a stepping stone pathway with just using flagstone. This is a natural material. We want it to look natural. We want it to look organic. So pick something that's going to give you that kind of feel, that kind of vibe. So obviously one of the most important things is what the flagstone is going to sit on, which is your millings, whether it is your setting sand or it is the crushed concrete like I used, or paver millings, whatever you have or whatever your stone yard has that you're going to work with. You want to make sure that that is something that you have in your wheelbarrow with a shovel right at your fingertips, because you're going to set that as you work. So you're going to pull these sections out, put that setting stone in, depending on the heights of your pavers, put that back in and do a section at a time. So you're gonna need that on hand all the time. Now, if you don't have a wheelbarrow, a lot of times the stone yards will have that exact same product in bags. So you can put them in individual bags and just line the bags up along the pathway so you can easily cut into them and just like do a small shovel and put them in and then tamp them into place. So if you're doing this yourself as a DIYer, you can easily work with each piece on its own. So you can pick this up, move this around, adjust this to whatever you need to adjust it to and work with that space. You might need an extra hand with some of those little bigger pieces, but that's the best part about Flagstone is that you can do it yourself as a nice walking pathway. And it is finished, you guys. It is beautiful. I am absolutely in love with this space. Please let me know what you guys think. I think it's turned out really well. I think it's a great combination of small and large stones. This is something that I know that my little size 8 feet could fit and walk down. I could literally, like I said, walk down here in heels because I totally have enough footing to run through this path. And that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted a very nice, comfortable path to just stroll down as I walk through my garden. I'm a cup of coffee drinker, a glass of wine drinker. I like feeling like I'm walking through the garden and enjoying my space like I enjoy a botanical garden or a resort garden or something like that, because nothing makes you feel more immersed in a garden setting than walking directly through it. You're up close and personal. You're checking in the morning, who's blooming, who's showing off, and you don't get that unless you're down here in the walkway enjoying, and it's right in your face. It's something that you get to really be a part of. I never feel more in the moment than when I'm walking through my garden on those mornings or late evenings. That's what I love about gardening, because you might not be able to afford it all at once, but if you have the vision and you have the patience, you really can create these perfect spaces that are just for you. And I promise you, doing that makes you want to go on vacation less, makes you want to not hop that plane, makes you want to really make that cocktail and sit in your backyard space and enjoy your own environment. And I know that it does that for my clients. And speaking of design, so if you guys are looking to have some design work done, then you know your girl is a landscape designer, reach out to us. We'd be happy to meet with you and look to see if we can create something beautiful in your space. We do landscape design, landscape installation, and virtual consults for those of you guys who have just little key areas you might need a little bit of insight on. We will be sure to post a video right here for you guys to enjoy. This was a tropical cutting garden, some of my favorite plants and trees to work with indoors as well as outdoors. Thank you guys again. Take care. See you next weekend.